And a lot of what we talk about and what we deal with is infidelity. Now with social media, there's this other layer of infidelity called emotional infidelity, which is so blurry, right? Like I'll have someone say, my boyfriend cheated on me. I was like, okay, tell me about it. I found a text or a message. Okay. And, well, he hid it from me. Okay. Did it say anything terrible? Well, they were like very friendly. So I feel like the topic of infidelity has morphed into something totally different than what it was, say, pre-social media. When my dad cheated on my mom, there was no social media. You got together physically, right?
Hi everyone, welcome to one more episode of Pinky J Podcast. Today I have a guest, Janelle Green. She is a coach, and I'm super excited because we're going to talk about, you could call it a taboo topic, something that you really don't hear, and it's about infidelity, love, marriage. I think this topic is important to start talking about because it happens as very often. So hi Janelle, how are you?
And well,
So talk about your journey on like life, marriage, how you became a coach.
before I became so I've been a coach now for about 10 years. I've had my own business for about 5 years. And really, I work with couples who are on the brink of divorce and they really want to save their family. Why I do this work is I'm really committed to the family values and even just the structure. And I can see as we progress in our society that traditional structure of family is now starting to change. And in some ways it's positive and in a lot of ways it's really negative. Having gone through my parents splitting, having gone through divorce myself, having gone through a huge spiritual transformation over the last 20 years, and now like living in this incredible marriage that I've had for the last 17 years, that person who you always wished and dreamt was out there, like to be able to find that person and he's even 10 times better than you thought you would ever get, and having that be a 17-year consistent relationship is extraordinary. And so I really saw that this was my opportunity to make a difference for other couples who go, how do you do it, Janelle? How do you guys keep that love and the spark and the playfulness and the sexiness alive? And so many of us want love and peace and joy, but we sometimes don't know how because no one ever taught us. And, talking about generational trauma, talking about, inner child dysfunction. Most of us were not set up in life to know what a great, healthy, happy relationship looks like. And if our parents didn't stay together, if our parents fought, if our parents didn't talk to each other, we take on those same beliefs and expectations, if you will, in life. And so then we go through life living someone else's beliefs rather than creating our own. And that's why for me, being a coach is such an honor, and it's so much fun because I get to work with people to reinvent who they want to be rather than the person they thought was expected of them or their parents wanted them to be or society said they should be, and really start over, because that was my journey, right? And right before I became a coach, I was in sales making over 6 figures. I was going on free trip to Rome. I went on a free trip to Bermuda. I got to bring my husband. It was like living La Vida Loca, and yet my heart was like, this is great and it's beyond my wildest dreams, but spiritually I wanted more. I quit my job like cold turkey, had no prospects in the lineup, and just said, nope, this is what has integrity for me. I'm miserable and I can't do this to myself anymore. And I got up and said to my husband, honey, I'm quitting my job today. And he's like, interesting. Do you have another job lined up? And I'm like, nope. And he's like, okay, well, I trust you. I love you. I want you to be happy. This is where my journey has taken me to now, this place where I have this extraordinary cheerleader who gives me high fives every time something extraordinary happens. And when things aren't great, he's there to hold me and support me and say, you know what? I believe in you. Everything's going to be okay. You know that. Just trust yourself, trust your gut, I get to be that light for other couples. And a lot of what we talk about and what we deal with is infidelity. Now with social media, there's this other layer of infidelity called emotional infidelity, which is so blurry, right? Like I'll have someone say, my boyfriend cheated on me. I was like, okay, tell me about it. I found a text or a message. Okay. And well, he hid it from me. Okay. Did it say anything terrible? Well, they were like very friendly. So I feel like the topic of infidelity has morphed into something totally different than what it was, say, pre social media. When my dad cheated on my mom, there was no social media. You got together physically, right? And so that's
Mm-hmm.
another layer of infidelity. I think it's just become really toxic. We are saying no to love, and love is all we are. It's who we are. And when we say no to that part of us, I think that's why our world is so sick, emotionally, mentally, even physically.
It's toxic, and it's becoming more than it was 20, let's say 20 years ago before social media came through, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of couples are going through this.
Yeah. And I think the tolerance level has become so small. Like you can't even move without someone. Like I had one woman who was so upset because she found her husband liked someone else's photo that was very sexy. Or
Wow.
I think maybe he said something like, "You look beautiful." And all of a sudden that's infidelity. It's like, whoa. And I think it speaks to our own insecurities and our inability to really get responsible. Like, okay, well, and we're now going to get into this, Pinky, right? Let's go. Let's
Yes.
go.
Yes, let's do
What?
it.
Right? Like, okay, well, why is he looking at her? Well, think about, if your husband or your partner's love languages say, physical touch, so they need hugs and kisses and sex and all that awesome stuff, and you're not giving that. And I'm going to say women and husbands, but I don't mean it in a gender. I'm just using it as an example. And when I speak, it's more of a general, but it's not like a flat. So I don't want anyone to think, well, women are too, or men are too. Yes, I totally get that. I understand that. But I'm just gonna talk the way I talk. So that's how I am. Like I don't sugarcoat. And this is the power. This is the power of the work. It's like let's say what there is to say so we can get it out of the way instead of playing, tiptoeing, walking on eggshells, and then just not actually showing up to who we authentically are and who the person, our partner, actually fell in love with in the first place. The tolerance level. And so it's like we don't even have any freedom. We can't even look at people without getting in trouble. Like, what's wrong
That's
with looking?
There's nothing wrong with
There's
looking.
not. I look at a woman and I wouldn't. Who was it last night? I think it was Margot Robbie, and we were watching her last night. And I said to my husband, "She's freaking beautiful." I have no problem saying because I am secure in my marriage. And what my husband said was, "She's no Janelle."
Oh, I love
I
that.
give my husband so much space. And my husband's actually a professional musician. And so I always tease him about groupies and things like that. And he's like, "Hey, I got my wedding ring on. You don't have to worry about that." He's like, "Women can take all the pictures of me that they want." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what?" And I'm okay with that because I know that you're a good looking dude. And I know women are going to probably think you're good looking and want to take your picture. And I know you come home with me and I'm the one that you love. But I'm that secure in my relationship. So talking about infidelity, if we're dealing with that insecurity, it's less about your partner and what they're doing and more about, first of all, where can you be responsible in the relationship? Where are you not showing up as a partner? As my husband's wife, I feel like part of my job is to make sure that we are strong so that I give him no reason because it's so good here. And it's not hard. Like when my friend asked my husband, she's like, "What is it like being married to Janelle?" And he said, "Easy." Because we just work as a team. We understand that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is us. And so money, family, whatever, all these other distractions that can pull us in different directions, as long as we are connected and we know that we got each other's back, there's nothing we can't deal with. And I've trained my husband to listen to me in a way that I need to be listened to. So it goes
Right.
like this. And this is what I teach my clients. Okay, honey, when I'm upset, and this is from a woman to a man, honey, when I'm upset, I just need you to sit down, pay attention, nod your head, and just listen. I don't need you to fix me. I don't need you to give me advice. I don't I don't need you to, I just need you to just get how I feel. And when I'm done talking, give me a hug, tell me you love me, and then get me some ice cream. And
That's
so
it.
that is it. And so he knows when I go into that place, he knows exactly what is expected of him, and he gets to be the hero.
that you
And
need.
so I think that's the thing, is like we need to learn how to be, first of all, communicate our needs in a loving and a respectful, not demanding way. And then we really need to understand, what does our partner need to feel loved, to feel appreciated. You know, the number one thing that men want, it's so simple. Appreciation. Every single man, I send this little like chart, this checklist, and I
Mm-hmm.
ask what they want. Women's lists are very long. Men's list, there's like two things. I just want peace in my house, no fighting, and I just want to feel appreciated. And I think as women, we have this sort of thought process like we're never good enough, and then we put that on our husbands, and then we make them feel like they're not good enough. But it's actually us healing whatever it is that we need to heal in order to love the people in our lives just as they are. But that cannot happen until we love ourselves just the way we are. And this is the kicker. So that's why I do my business very different than therapists and counselors. It's really about going inwards and taking responsibility, rather than let's just get in a room and talk all of our shit out, and then let's just poo-poo on each other and let's bring up shit from 10 years ago that fucking makes no difference whatsoever and just adds more hurt and pain. And it's like pouring gasoline on the fire and you're wondering why the fire never goes out.
Mm-hmm. And you're getting that rage again, that anger again that you were going through like 10 years ago.
Yeah, like why do we do that to ourselves? Because we haven't healed ourselves. And so and sometimes we think that getting mad at our partner is gonna do something over there, like actually inspire them to be better. No. But I think, like, as children, the way our parents taught us, it's like, if you're a good girl or boy, we're gonna give you love. And when you're a bad girl or boy, you get ignored, you get grounded. And so I think, again, we need to break free from these programmings that we had as children, because it doesn't work inside of marriage, relationships in general.
And you came from parents or your dad who cheated on your mom. So that's
Yeah.
a huge trauma on you already.
100%. And this is why I think that's why I'm so passionate about this. First of all, my parents had an amazing marriage. Like, when I look at my marriage with my husband, it's very similar to my parents. And I think that's part of it, is like, if whatever we see in our parents, we're going to replicate that, whether it's positive or negative. So if you're a parent listening to this, pay attention to how you behave in front of your children. Because even if you say to them, be a nice person, but you're not nice, that's contradictory, and they're not actually going to be a nice person, because all they see is monkey see, monkey do. So anyway, so when I was 9, my mom called us down to the living room and said, your dad's leaving, and he doesn't love us anymore. I remember being 9 and watching my dad leave down the stairs, standing at the bay window on the second floor and watching him leave. I was a daddy's girl, so this was very painful for me. I was 9, my sister was 6, my brother was only 3, and my mom was probably only 30 years old. And my dad went into this car that, I remember it was a brown car. I didn't recognize it. I was like, who's in that car? And so what we later found out was that my dad was having an affair with my mom's best friend, who had lived in our basement months prior for years. And she was like my aunt. We took her everywhere because she was single. So for this to happen was so hurtful on so many levels. And so my dad left. Oh, and they had a baby. Yeah,
What?
so I have a half brother. And if we had more time, I would tell you this amazing story about me and my mom camping out in front of their house. And when she came out, my mom totally decked her in the face and blood everywhere. It was awesome. That's my mom. Anyway, so 3 years would pass, and evidently my dad gets sick. In this 3 years, my mom, like, one of the memories I have as a child is being at church, just being bored out of my mind as my mom prayed. She just prayed every single day for my dad to come back. So anyway, 3 years later, he comes back and says, I'm sick. I need someone to take care of me. And so my dad was actually on a transplant list for a kidney. And so he couldn't work. He had to go on dialysis, which is the cleaning of the blood. For 4 years, he waited for this kidney, and he almost died. But my mom took care of him, and she said, yes. She said, I will take you back under 2 conditions. Number 1, you never go back. If you're here, you're here. And number 2, we forgive and we forget. And so she honored her word. So from that time till the time my dad passed away, which was 13 years later, she never brought it up, no matter how bad they fought. And sometimes he would bring it up as like a guilt thing. And my mom's like, nope, we're not talking about it. What I learned from that is that forgiveness is possible. Reconciliation is possible. If my parents can come back from that, and what the triumph and the miracle of the story is that my dad was a better father, a better husband. He actually started to go to church.
What was needed. It
That was
sounds
what's needed.
so bad to say.
No, he had to redeem himself before he went to heaven, and he was 53 when he passed away. One thing I want to just segue a little bit. Sometimes I wonder, why do bad things happen to us? Like infidelity or death. You know, I've been really taking on this whole thought process that everything, that God, there's no mistake. He makes no mistakes. Even though we think it's like, how could this be happening? But he knows. So there was this moment that I was like, okay, well, what's the benefit of my dad dying? I got a brother out of it. My brother came into my life at my dad's funeral. He showed up and was like, hi, I'm your brother. And what's so crazy is he's a spitting image of my father. I just want anyone who's listening to this to really get, like, when love, not ego, not pride, not hurt, not fear, is what drives you in your commitment to have love and keep your family together, you can save your family. You can. You just got to be so committed to get over all of your shit to get to the place where you want to get to. And so we got our happy ending. Did it take something? Hell yeah. And that's why people go, oh, it's impossible. No, it's not impossible. You're just unwilling to do the work to make it possible. And as a coach, that is the work and the gift that I bring to people who are ready to wake up and have the life that they deserve and want.
Right. And I feel like nowadays people don't want to do the work. They're like, oh, he cheated on me. It's his fault. Whatever. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
On to the next.
Not thinking about their kids, not thinking about costs of like, not only the emotional cost, but and financial cost of like going through divorce and whatever. Like that people, I did a consult for a guy from, I get referrals from divorce lawyers. And I met this guy who was like, oh yeah, my divorce is not going to be dirty or nasty. And I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, I read this book. And yeah, we can do it. But they're not even talking right now, the two of them at all. And he's like, oh yeah, this divorce is going to be super smooth. It's not going to cost me a lot of money. It'll be fine. This is the other one. My kids won't be impacted. No. They won't be impacted by divorce. Really. So, you know, and I think it's the ego. And again, it's the unwillingness to be uncomfortable to do the work. You know, for me, it's like people would rather fork out $50,000 to get divorced, to pay a lawyer, to do all the legal fees, rather than sitting down and doing the fucking work. And honestly, Pinky, my clients that work with me, by week 2, second session, everything flips. Most of my clients only see me for 8 weeks. Like everything flips because they just need to shift something in their thinking, in the way they see themselves and in the way they see their partner. And once those blinders come off and they go, oh shit, now they're ready to do the work. It's not that hard though. Like I have people who come to me who said, our therapist said that there's no hope for us and that we should just get divorced. I was like, they said that to you? What the fuck? But I hear that every week. My therapist said that, or this therapist said that there's no hope for us, or that they're unwilling to work with us until I kick my drinking habit. So it's like very conditional. And I'm like, but you're drinking because you're dealing with something else. You're not dealing, right? It's just only a symptom of something deeper. So deal with the deeper shit.
Exactly. And that's what I'm like, I'm growing up and being very spiritual and everything. Like my perspective is becoming very different of the other person. Like, why are they acting like this?
Yeah.
There has to be something deeper.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Because I think that's the problem is we only see things right like that first impression. And I think what makes me such a great coach is I'm super empathic. I know that we are all loved deep down, and there are just these layers and scars that have covered that part of us up. And it's my job along with them to slowly peel those bandages off and really deal with the infection that they have been resisting to deal with. And so it
Right.
can get pretty gnarly and uncomfortable, and there's lots of tears, but they're in a safe place with me, and we get to go to depths that they've never gone to before. And what I love is being with men who cry with me. Like, I'm clear their wives probably have never seen them cry, and they come and they just are so vulnerable. And so I do have a soft spot for men. And so when a man says, yeah, Janelle, I did cheat, but you know what? We haven't had sex in 5 years. I ask her 5 times a day. I can't even hug her. She won't even kiss me. She won't even hug me. I haven't heard I love you in years. And you wonder why I'm like, trying to find a connection on social media. Like, I get it. And so I think that we both sides need to be really responsible about their own part and admit, like, it's not one person's fault. And I think that's the starting place where we can really start to heal and start to move forward. And that's why I think coaching is so extraordinary, because it's not about what happened. We all make mistakes. Okay, like, I make mistakes all the time. If my husband nailed me to the cross every single time I forgot, because I'm super absent-minded. My husband is the one with the memory, remembers, like, I'm like the one. He just loves me for me, and he knows, like, I'm that, and he doesn't, again, crucify me every time I screw up, because he has so much compassion for me. He's like, it's okay, babe. It's okay you broke that thing. We can fix it. It's okay you made that mistake in business. Well, we'll work it out. It's extraordinary.
Right. And more people need to be like that, because I think we were also taught, like, when we make mistakes, you are put down, you're a horrible person. And that comes into play when we're older in a marriage. And like you said, we're not really taught to love or, like, how to be in a marriage. Like, who taught us that, No one
Yeah.
really.
No.
So I love what you do, and I honestly love the way, like, your perspective is on marriage and infidelity, and it's true. There's two sides to the story, and we have to
And you
look
know
at
what?
different perspectives.
And sometimes it just doesn't work. No matter what you do, you can't do it. But I think my point is that so many give up so quickly, and sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes they're like, I want to do the work, I want to change, but how? So what do? They go to Google and they go therapists, and then they go to the therapist, and therapist goes, oh, you're depressed, here's some drugs. Oh, and you're anxious, here's some more drugs. Or, hey, sorry, can't help you, you're screwed, bye-bye. It just, to me, I feel like there is a hole, a gap that I can fill, and I can fill that gap with so much love and honesty and power that, and going back to what I said in the first 5 minutes, like, thinking about, like, why me? Why did this all happen to me? I've had a lot of shit happen in my life on top of everything I've shared today, obviously. But I now see that everything that I've been through in my life had a purpose. And now that purpose, I get to hone that all in and use that for good and save families and save generations. And I know that sounds super, like, what's the word, melodramatic, but I have a vision for this world, and I'm committed that when I drop dead and I go to the pearly gates of heaven and St. Peter says, Janelle, what did you give yourself over to you in your life that was bigger than you? I know an answer, where 5 years ago I didn't have an answer. I would have been like, I sold software and I made lots of money. No, I can really say, I made a difference for families and generations by just sharing my experience and my love and my stand for love and for family. So, if you are someone that is dealing with infidelity, or kind of, I really strongly suggest you look inside. And first of all, start with, where can you be responsible? And then, what is it you need to change? And then if you need help, I can help with that. Or any coach can help with that.
Reach out to Janelle.
Reach out to me. I'm good. I'm great. And I'm super humble too, by the way.
Yeah, straightforward. This is what you need in life. These type of people, it's straightforward. That's it.
Exactly. We have way too many people blowing smoke up our ass right now. Like, let's just be straight and real, and, like, stop lying to ourselves and stop trying to be who we're not, because that's why we're freaking miserable, is we're trying to make everybody else happy except ourselves.
Right. And I think in today's society, in today's world, people are so sensitive. Like,
oh my gosh. It's the ego. It's all ego. That's all it is. Because, again, like, society, social media, Instagram, right, it's just created this kind of, like, fake world where everybody's all happy all the time, or they're pouring their emotions out in kind of a not great way, where people are like, whoa, like, I think we need to be, again, responsible for the way we communicate to ourselves, first of all, the way we communicate to our loved ones, and just become like really conscious. I think that's part of it. Is we're so unconscious about how we behave. We're just like in trigger mode all the time.
Right.
React. Even though we know we need to listen, even though we know we need to shut up and not interrupt, we do the exact thing that we know we're not supposed to do. And then somehow, sometimes we try to find a way to pin it on the other person so that we don't look bad, and yet we end up sabotaging and hurting the person we love the most. And oftentimes we don't even clean it up, and we just leave them feeling that shit. And this is where it begins.
Everyone is going through this, and no one's taking responsibility.
Yeah, I'm actually coaching a psychologist right now on love. A psychologist, and I'm also coaching a spiritual leader, like a woman of God who is questioning God right now because she just lost her husband. And so I just find it like, again, like, wow, I get to work with extraordinary leaders in the world. And I guess the reason I bring that up is we're all in the same boat. We all have shit, whether we are, maybe even the Pope has stuff that he's dealing with, right? We look, again, social media, we look and go, oh, wow, these people look like they have such great lives. And even for me, I'm like, wow, look at all these coaches and they're making millions of dollars. Wow. But we don't know what people are. It's all act. It's all masks, and we're all just trying to protect ourselves. But I think we need to do the opposite if we want to bring more love and healing to the world. We actually need to be really honest and vulnerable, and again, responsible.
Exactly. And this is why I started this podcast. And because I think we need to start opening up. And I think you're super courageous, what you did, what you went through in life, and how like you quit your corporate job to become this amazing coach that you are, and, inspiring and helping families every day. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Learn from every mistake. Don't be bitter. Be better.
I love that. Thank you so much, Janelle. If you are going through any issues, please reach out to Janelle. She is a great coach. And thank you so much.